Well, hello there, Trailblazers fans. What a game that ended up being. It didn't look like it was going to be much of one at the end of the third quarter, but the Blazers were able to storm back in this one, and they did, in fact, make a game of it as they fall to the Phoenix Suns 103-97. Welcome into the fifth quarter. I am your host, Chris Burkhardt. If you want to get in on the conversation with me, throughout the day, just go to social media, go on Twitter or X, whichever one you prefer to call it. Type in Chris J. Burkhardt, give me a follow, and pop right up. You can continue the conversation with me there all day long. And of course, you can grab your telephone, dial 503-248-0620 to get on the phones with me. And I guess, the YouTube stream's up now too. So you can do that too. You got plenty of options to sound off in this one as the Blazers kind of gave you a little bit of deja vu, except they had the comeback there in the fourth quarter because this game looked a lot like the Oklahoma City game, did it not? I mean, the Blazers come out, they get behind early, they fight back, they take every punch that the Suns have, they punch back, they take the lead into the locker room at halftime. Granted, it was tied 68-68 when it was the Oklahoma City game, but this one, they take the lead, things are looking great. And then the third quarter happened, and the wheels just absolutely fell off of this one. You look at what happened there in the third quarter. First off, at halftime, the Blazers led 47-43. 47-43. I'm going to say that one more time. 43 points for the Suns. Why am I saying that three times so it gets into your head? Because in the third quarter alone, the Suns scored 44 points to get out ahead in this one, and that was just unreal, man. Again, it's like, here we go. The halftime happens, adjustments are made. They may have been the wrong adjustments, but it was not a great third quarter for the Blazers. Outscored 44-18. And at that point, the Suns just kind of raced away, or so we thought, because in the fourth quarter, Portland outscored the Suns 32-16, made it a game, had a chance late to take the lead. It just didn't come to fruition as hard as they fought. And early in the pregame show, I talked about how Delano Banton, to me, is the end of the bench guy, right? And he comes in and he gets some of those garbage minutes, but I don't know if he's the savior of this team. Well, in this one, he played one hell of a game. Sometimes you just got to tip your cap and say, good job, man. That was wonderful. He came in when the team needed him. He played 12 minutes, was the major spark for that late run, scored 12 points in those 12 minutes, 2 rebounds, two assists, 2 steals, and a block shot. Like, that's incredible. 5 of 7 shooting, 2 of 4 from deep. A little bit of a spark plug that they needed from him. And you like to see that. You need that every once in a while. You need someone on the bench to be the spark. And I'm glad he was tonight because the Blazers needed him and made that fourth quarter one heck of a game. That's for sure. Looking throughout the box score, let's start in Phoenix, where Kevin Durant had 21 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 points from Yusuf Nurkic. His only bucket of the game was a 3-pointer, but he led the way with 15 rebounds to lead all rebounders in this one. 15 points from Tyus Jones. Bradley Beal had 15, 28 from Devin Booker to lead the Suns. Grayson Allen had 18 off the bench. Royce O'Neal had 3. No one else on the Suns bench scored. As for your Trailblazers, Toumani Camara, 7 points, 9 rebounds, an assist, and 2 steals. 20 points and 7 boards from Jeremy Grant. 13 points and 6 rebounds, 2 assists from Denny Avdia. 10 points and 13 rebounds from DeAndre Ayton to start a new double-double streak, as Travis put it. And 20 points, 6 assists, 8 boards from Anthony Simons. Off the Blazer bench, they were led by Delano Banton, who had those 12 points, 7 points, 1 assist, 1 turnover from Scoot Henderson. So not a banner night for the Blazers' number 3 overall pick just 2 drafts ago. Ryan Rupert played just 7 minutes. He had 2 points. Donovan Clingan, 2 points, 4 rebounds, and a block shot in 14 minutes of action. The Blazers, I said I wanted them to be aggressive on the boards because they were playing a team that is very, very good defensively on the boards, but they don't get a ton of offensive rebounds. Well, in this one alone, the Suns had 50 defensive rebounds, and they cleaned up the offensive glass pretty well as well, having 13. Out-rebounded the Blazers 63-56. They had 29 assists to the Trailblazers 17. They only had 4 steals though, as where the Blazers had 10. So that's nice. That's one thing you like to see. The Blazers did keep the turnover numbers down, just 6 in total. 1 from Grant, 1 from Avdia, 1 from Simons, 1 from Klingon, 1 from Banton, and 1 from Scoot. So they got the turnovers down, which is something I wanted them to do. They rebounded decently. 56 rebounds is nothing to scoff at, but they did get out rebounded overall. They still were able to pull down 14 offensive rebounds, which you appreciate against a Suns team that is very, very good on the defensive glass. They're not great on the offensive glass, but somehow they were able to get it going in this one. So the rebound numbers weren't exactly where I wanted them to be. I wanted them to win this rebound battle. Absolutely, I did, but that just wasn't the case. Now, I got to talk about the first half was just a dumpster fire of basketball, man. The Blazers ended the first half alone shooting 17 of 57 for 29% from the floor, as were the Suns were 12 of 44, 27.3% from the floor. I mean, that was not an offensive exhibition in the first half. As Travis Demers said on the call, it was offensive might be the word I would describe, because it was very offensive to watch that game. It was something else in the first half. Second half, a completely different ball game. I know that's overused, right? Tale of two halves, but it was in this one for both teams, really. And for the Blazers, unfortunately, a lot of teams come out and they do have a quote, a tale of two halves, right? Well, the Blazers were kind of a tale of 4 quarters, because I don't know if the same Blazer team was on the floor for those 4 quarters. It was incredible to watch just the ebbs and flows, man. And I think this young team is gonna struggle to find those moments where it plays strong for long periods of time. But when it does go in spurts, it looks good. They need to find that middle ground where they can just play a good game, because when they look good, they look good. Like they're a fun team. The ball's moving, players are flying around everywhere. They look good. When they look bad, they look real bad. They look real bad. And I don't get that. Kirk says, love those 40 minutes from guys like Ant and Grant on a so-called rebuild. And if you were listening to the pregame show, which I know you were, Kirk, yeah, I've gone deep on that. This is another one where during that third quarter where it's 44-18, you can't stop anything, and there's just Donovan Klingon just twiddling his thumbs, getting his 14 minutes of action tonight. Like that one it just irks me. Again in this game, are you trying to win games? You trying to develop? You gotta do one. And it's very, very frustrating to watch that continue to happen. But also, if you're trying to win a couple games here early in the season, you got to put your best foot forward. I guess that's what they're trying to do. And again, maybe I'm wrong, because I'm not a huge Delano Banton fan, but that's 2 games in a row where he's come in and in a short amount of minutes has provided a spark. So maybe he needs to find a way to get in that rotation just a little bit more. I don't know about that overall and how it works, and it's not going to lead to wins maybe, but that fourth quarter was entertaining as all could be for anyone who was still watching, because I think a lot of people might have turned off in the third when you're like, here we go. The wheels fell off. Game's over. What the heck? But no, kudos to the Blazers for at least making the comeback. That's the part you like, Kirk. That's the point you like, listeners out there. It's just making the comeback, showing a little bit of that fight. Now, at some point, you just want to get to the point where you don't have to fight. You don't have to run out of gas, because you fight for the whole four quarters, right? You fight total game, all 48 minutes. You're in it. You're not just, okay, we're going to play 1.5 quarters in the first half, and then we're going to play 1 quarter in the second half and see how it comes out. Now, granted, I know that's not the game plan, but boy, is that how it feels lately. This team needs to find itself to get through these games and find itself quickly. It's hard to do with you got all these young guys, but at the same time, can't use that as an excuse when, you got Grant, Ayton, and Simons in your starting lineup. Outside of that, though, keep in mind, you got to remember this team, guys. I want to show you that. Tamani Kamara, he's one of the young guys. Danny Avdia in the starting lineup, he's one of the young guys. Your entire bench rotation, I mean, yeah, Delano Banton's a air quotes vet, but Murray, Klingon, Henderson, Rupert. Second-year guy, first-year guy, journeyman, second-year guy, second-year guy. It's a young team. Keep that in mind. I want to know how this all changes when Matisse Thybulle comes back, when Shaden Sharp comes back, even though he's one of the young ones. when Robert Williams is able to play, things will get really, really interesting how minutes are divided between the guys who can make you competitive and the guys that you want to rebuild with. All right, we're going to take a quick break here on the fifth quarter, but a reminder, grab those telephones. Come on in. 503-248-0620 is that telephone number. You can also go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio 620. We will pop right up. And you can get on the Twitter sphere, X. I don't like calling it X. It's Elon's company. He can call it whatever he wants, right? But when you're just so used, like if it would have just started out as X, I get it. If you would have just started out as X, I would have called it that. But now, nah, it's too hard. It's too hard. All right, we're going to take a quick break here. If you're on the line, stay there. I'll get to you in just a second. I'm assuming that is my man, Zach from Phoenix, who lives in Seattle, who once drove to Portland to watch Oklahoma City, waiting on the line because he said he's going to call in today. All right, we're going to stay there. We'll get you on the backside of this break when we come back here on Rip City Radio 620.
8 and another rebound, and he gives it to Kamara. Ups the ball to Grant. Grant attacks, slips through, double clutch, no good. But it's Simons there with the putback slam. And suddenly it's a 13-point game. Grant 3 on the way. That is no good. Offensive rebound, Denny Avdia. To Simons for 3. Got it. It's a 1-point game, 39-38.
Welcome back into the fifth quarter. Chris Burkhardt here with you. Could join the conversation by going over to YouTube and jumping on our YouTube stream. We're live right now, where Sean asks, is there any update on Sharp? We need some more options on offense. And last I heard, he's progressing well on his original timeline. Original timeline would put him around a mid-November return. And I think there's some options there. You look at the Blazers have a 4-game homestand starting November 10th. You got Memphis, 2 against Minnie, and then they end against Atlanta. And I think that Atlanta game is a good game to mark. Also, that those first games on the road there. Then you got away at Oklahoma City, and then the 2 against the Rockets. So I would honestly think somewhere in there in that Atlanta, Oklahoma City, Houston range would be a good spot to mark for a return. All right, not only on YouTube can you follow us, of course, you can follow us on Twitter, and you can go to the phones. 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. And the guy I'm about to bring on now, I met yesterday. He asked me, he's like, how are post-game shows around here in Portland? They like them in Arizona. And I said, they're good when the team's winning. the calls come in a little bit hotter. They're coming in pretty quiet today, so I made sure he jumped to the top of the line. But this is Zach from Phoenix, who lives in Seattle, who drove down to Portland to watch the Thunder. Zach, how you doing?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm glad you called in.
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks for taking the call, man. I just wanted to bring up a quick point. I know Trailblazers fans are probably tired of hearing this, but I think you guys are actually building something down there, or up there, I should say. But when you have Toumani Camara going off for 7, he had a slow offensive start, but then he got the 10 rebounds. And you guys almost came back twice against 2 of the best teams in the NBA. So wanted to see your thoughts on that. And, yeah, thanks for taking the call, man. It was cool.
Well, don't go anywhere, Zach. I'll answer that question, but we got to talk. I mean, first off, what tell me about that night. I mean, I talked about it on the show last night. But what was going through your head when me, random stranger who you met 5 minutes ago, was like, hey, give me your phone real quick, and you just totally gave me your phone to go run on the court with?
Honestly, yeah, you just did it with such a sense of urgency. I didn't even hesitate. I was like, all right, I trust this guy. You had the credentials, you had the microphone. I figured it was probably pretty trustworthy.
Well, now you got those a couple pictures and videos on your phone to go make some friends jealous, my man. But no,
yeah, man, it's been blowing up.
Now, here's the thing. Toumani Camara, I love. I said this earlier. I know you. I'm gonna put you on the spot on air. How old are you?
I'm 27.
Okay, you're 27. So if we roll back 10 years ago, you were 17. So you're old enough to remember like Wesley Matthews when in his prime, when he was running around starting with Dame and Co. in Portland, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so Wesley Matthews, that was right when I first started covering the team. I said he was one of the first players that I got to cover where I was like, he makes watching someone play defense fun. Like, just watching him lock people down was so entertaining. And to me, Toumani Camara is the closest Portland has had to that since he left. Like, I still think he's so good defensively and so fun to watch, especially for a year 2 guy. And I definitely think he's a building block. I know in the Damian Lillard trade, Chauncey Billups said this actually a few weeks ago, so we'll get your take on it too, being a Suns guy, that even though he never played a game for Phoenix, that Chauncey Billups said that guys like Kevin Durant and Devin Booker were not happy that he was part of the deal. Like, they wanted to play with him. And then you saw firsthand against Oklahoma City how good he can be. So what are your thoughts on Toumani Camara and the Suns kind of letting that one maybe get away?
Honestly, yeah, as you know better, you would probably know too, he was one of our only draft picks. The way that everything worked out and we stacked it up to get Kevin Durant, he was like basically our only draft pick that year. So that was the only thing we had to look forward to. And when we lost him, man, I was devastated because I think he's going to blow up, and especially being on a young nucleus. I think last night, just by a couple of days, OKC is the youngest team on average, but I think you guys were, and then now second. So I think being with that nucleus, man, something could happen. And if Ayton can charge up that Tesla battery, you know, I think can get you guys some good rebounds and defense too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mentioned this last night, Zach, and then Zach sent me the article, and like knowing Ayton now after covering him for his time here, it's like it makes sense. This was the quote, by the way. He was asked about his motor. He says, "Yeah, I don't know what that is, man. Motor? Come on, bro. I play both ends of the floor. My name is Dominatin'. I anchor the Phoenix Suns on both ends of the floor. Motor? Really? We're going to talk about motor, man? Nope. I run on Tesla battery." Like, that doesn't even really make sense because, like, a Tesla you still got to charge your Tesla. Otherwise, you're just dead in the water, right? Like,
you just die, yeah.
So, hey, I do like DeAndre, but, man, like, when you are self-proclaimed dominating, I think you need to dominate just a little bit more.
Yeah, at the time it hit a little bit different because he was coming off of a almost NBA championship, so I think the swagger was there a little bit more, and then now it might not have aged as well.
All right, here's one more question for you, Zach. I know you called in to talk to me, and now I'm putting you on the spot, but I like to get the perspective of you from being down there. You're not in Phoenix, but you're from Phoenix. You love the Suns, and you know how I know you love the Suns? They're your team, is because not only were you rocking Suns gear, you were rocking like some classic starter style jacket last night, and that thing was money, by the way. What was that?
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
I said thank you. Yeah, you got to go vintage.
You got to go vintage. Also, side note, the Suns should have never changed like that. That is an S tier uniform, the Charles Barkley, Kevin Johnson era uniform. Absolute S tier. They need just to go back to that full time. But here's my question for you: is tonight the Bosnian beast Yusuf Nurkic? He only had 3 points, but he did light it up with 15 rebounds. Played decently everywhere else. What are your thoughts on him? He came from Portland, and Nurk fever was a thing when he came from Denver. Portland fell in love with him instantly, and then obviously the wheels fell off when it was him and Dame, and everyone started getting traded. But what have you thought about the Bosnian beast there in Phoenix for you?
I mean, we've had a similar kind of experience with them. I mean, at first it was a little rocky because some players were devastated about losing Ayton. Some people were just, ready to get rid of him. So there was mixed feelings on Nurk, but I think just the grit he shows, kind of like that Jokic kind of European basketball that he plays is kind of what we needed. We needed someone who was going to kind of get their hands dirty. And then, yeah, like you see it, 3 points and 15 rebounds, but he's not there to score points. I mean, when you got our big three scoring 64 like they did tonight, and that's on the low end of what we're expecting them to do, I mean, we love Nurk. He fits the mold perfectly, exactly what we're trying to do down there.
Well, that's good. And, I mean, I do host a Blazer show, so it sucks that the team lost tonight. But I'm glad my new friend in Seattle got the win. So, Zach, I appreciate you calling in. I appreciate you more for talking to me yesterday and getting to meet you. And, hey, man, this phone line, it's open for you anytime you want to call in. It doesn't have to be a Blazer-Sun game. If you just want to talk hoop, you give us a call, all right?
I love it, man. I'll definitely do that, and I'll hit you up next time I'm down in Portland.
You better, man. Thanks for the call. And, again, if you I say this to people all the time, and that is I have resting grumpy face. Okay, I look grumpy all the time. It is my Polynesian blood. I promise you that. My grandpa was the exact same. Okay, but I'm a teddy bear, so don't be afraid. If you ever see me, is that Chris Burkhardt from the radio show? Say hi. Zach just said hi because he saw my mic flag I had in my hand because I was about to do our post-game hit. Hey, Rip City Radio, what's that? And it was funny. I believe it was your wife, though. She was funny. She's like, ask him what he thinks about Ayton. Like, I think she was ready to throw him under the bus. But it was wonderful, Zach, and I appreciate you calling in. If you guys want to call in and talk hoop, 503-248-0620 is that telephone number, as always. And, of course, go on to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, and get in on the conversation there where Kirk, Iron Rods, and Chris E. and Sean McCann are holding it down. All right, we're going to take a quick break here on the fifth quarter. When we come back, we're going to head to the Coach's Corner, hear what Coach Billups had to say following this tough 103-97 loss to the Phoenix Suns. Chris Burkhardt with you here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. All sorts of noises coming my way. Time to send a noise your way. It is time for the Coach's Corner. Let's head back down to Phoenix, hear what Coach Billups had to say following this loss to the Suns.
But man, we came out and really got ourselves back in the game. You know, I was credit to Delano. You know, we went with him. I just kind of see him as one of those X Factor type of players that can come in and just kind of make things happen, in particular on the offensive end. But I thought everybody, our defense kind of picked up. We just never caved in the game, and one of those shots go in, you never know what could happen. But I'm proud of our guys for just hanging in. We on the second night of a really tough back-to-back, and came out here and had a really good first half. Got hit with a big blow in that third quarter and just kind of stuck together. This is what you want. You want the guys to stick together and just keep chipping away. And I thought we did that.
Yeah, Coach, where do you kind of land in terms of the emotions about that? Because on one hand, I'm sure you love the comeback and you love the fight, but on the other hand, it's like we shouldn't put ourselves in that situation in the third quarter again.
Yeah, we shouldn't have, and like I told the guys in there just a second ago, whenever we check in the game, you got to be ready. We went to some of our reserves in that third quarter, and man, it just was they blew us away quick. So we got to be better about that, and again, like, it's just growing pains. Of course you would love to have that. But it's not so easy to play 4 good quarters against a great team. Let's be honest. You're going to have some of those kind of setbacks just like they did as a good team. You look at what they did in the fourth quarter. We got really aggressive, and we was able to have it our way, So it just happens in the course of an NBA game. It just happens. It's how you actually come back from that. And I was proud of how we did that.
You talk about Jerry Green's performance tonight as well. It seemed like, particularly in the first half, it seemed like he kind of kept you guys in a little bit.
Yeah, he did. I'm always looking for Jeremy to just continue to stay aggressive at all times. We need him so bad. I'm always mad at him if he ever passes up a 3-point opportunity. And I know Jeremy's like a rhythm player. He needs to kind of dribble it some. So I gotta meet him halfway on some of those things, But he's just always steady. He's always steady for us. You can always count on him.
All right. Yeah.
Good.
All righty, it is now time for my game ball. And you know what? I'm giving my game ball to a guy I questioned in pregame, because you know what a sign of maturity is? It's just kind of admitting that someone deserves it, maybe admitting you were wrong for a minute. And I'm giving my game ball to Delano Banton. He played just 12 minutes in this one, had 12 points, 2 assists, 2 steals, had a rebound in there. Like, he was all over the place, and was a major part for that late run, the late push that the team made. You got to give him props. You absolutely got to give him props. Now I want to know what score we're going with, because the stats site that I use says that he has 1 rebound, 2 assists, and 2 steals, but ESPN says he has 2 rebounds. Either way, he filled it up in a short amount of time, and I thought was a major reason that they were able to spark that late comeback. And you got to give him props for that. It was pretty nice to see him get going, get on the court. And I like that next man up, always be ready mentality, right? Like, you need to get that going. So he gets a game ball for that performance. Absolutely. I don't know if anyone else wants to give out a game ball. If you're in the chat, give out a game ball. Give out a game ball. Kirk is still fussing about minutes played, and me and Kirk we don't always agree. Kirk and I can go back and forth. We agree on this one, Kirk. I don't like the young guys not playing very much, especially Donovan Clingan, man. Donovan Clingan. It's just I don't know. This interview is another reason to take Grant Nan away from him. That's what he's saying. Ayton gets the game ball from Iron Rod, is what I'm assuming. He throws Ayton out there. Ayton had 10 points, 13 boards, 3 of 13 shooting. Pretty bad night, but I do the board work, the glass work is pretty impressive, and they needed that tonight. But The whole minutes played for the young guys. Yeah, that's a whole. I could do an entire show on that, my man. My goodness, it's pretty ludicrous. I want to see him get out there. It's hard because the unfortunate part is I think that the team wants to go young and wants to get those young guys on the floor. But there are roadblocks in there. The order of operations, right? No team in their right mind is just going to say, okay, we're in a rebuild. We're in a rebuild, and we want to take Ant and Grant and Aiton, and you're just going to put them on the bench and play all your young guys. Like no team is going to do that, right? It's just, again, the order of operations. I think the unfortunate part is there's not a lot of trades on November 2nd. You know what I mean? This one's going to linger a minute until you get through and closer to the deadline and hit the point in the year when people who sign their offseason deals are eligible for trades and all that. So it's going to be a minute. It's absolutely gonna be a minute. Phil says media coverage of the Blazers is too soft on the coach and vets. What do you mean by that? Like what? Like seriously? Like type in. Like what do you mean by too soft? How so? How so? Because I just want to. I'm just asking. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just asking. Because the vets, I don't know if I think being. I'm trying to phrase this like I think being soft on the vets, depending on the situation, right, makes sense. Like what they're just here. They're just living out their contract. Coach, I'm torn on because I've said this last game, and I'm being completely honest. I know people will try to say I'm copping out here, and I'm trying not to because I just don't know. Like if you would have had Terry Stotts in this situation, Becky Hammond was the one that everyone else wanted hired at the same time. Like, how many coaches find success when you have situations like, hey, we're going young, but we also have these vets that you need to play, and then we're going to tank. We're doing it's been so weird. Like, I find it very, very hard to gauge Chauncey overall on his X's and O's. I almost feel like right now you're kind of getting the best chance to do so because outside of the few three, the team is fairly, air quotes, healthy. And what's it doing? It's leaving some question marks. It's leaving you sitting there scratching your head, right? So, yeah, I get that. I still don't know. I still think his grade is incomplete. Like, if I'm actually grading it, I do think it's probably time to move on and figure out something. He's had the longest leash ever for a coach just because of what's going on. But again, I'm not discounting your comment in the least. I'm just asking for an elaboration a little bit because I want to know where you think that or how so. Because I mean, I think it's absolutely fair to be critical of Chauncey without a doubt. Sometimes the in-game X's and O's, the plays that are drawn up, the substitution patterns, just weird, really weird. And I'll go all day long. You're going to have a very, very hard time convincing me that the way he subs in and out Donovan Clingan makes any lick of sense. I still don't get Donovan Clingan playing 14 points a night. Like, why? And I got into this debate with a couple members of the media the other night. Like, well, he's young and the team was small and he can't guard the small lineup. And I don't care. I don't care what he can't do because guess what? He can't do anything if he's not on the floor. Like, that's just a fact, You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott. Like you got to be on the floor. I personally want to see Clingan out there making mistake after mistake after mistake right now because being a big is a very, very big learning curve in the NBA. We have seen it over and over and over, repeated over and over. It is a steep learning curve. Guards tend to have a little bit of an easier time getting in, especially shooting guards and just finding their way in and getting the ball in your hands, right? Bigs, I mean, even Clingan, he's going from not spacing the floor to starting to take threes a little bit. Like it is hard for a big to adjust. So what's the best way to do it? Get in on the floor, man. Get in the game. That's what you got to do. It's absolutely what you got to do. What other comments do we got? We need some vets on the team. If not Grant and Ant, which vets around the league would help the Blazers? Well, I don't know. You do need in the grand scheme, Sean. If you end up trading those guys, you're going to want to bring vets in, and you're going to want to bring in guys who are making money all right, who maybe have a year or two left on their deals or whatnot, and maybe aren't the type of vet who you have to start right now because you do have the salary cap parameters where you have to hit the salary floor, right? Like you have to have X amount of money that you have to be spending. So those big contracts are needed. Like you have to have them. So it's not as easy as just saying, okay, we're just going to trade him out. We get, you got to make sure. So there's that reason that you have those vets. But yeah, then you got to make sure what you get back in return is what you want to continue to build. That's what you need. Iron Rod's wants Ralph the landscaper to call in. How come you don't call in, Iron Rod? You need to call in. So yeah, that's just my take, guys. And here's the deal. Try not to get upset. Just keep coming to the fifth quarter. We're gonna keep rocking this show all year long. And when the boat gets rocky, we'll get through this. Hey Shacker, hit that outro music. All right, there you go. The music's hitting. We're gonna get out of here. We play Freebird when we leave because it's just easy to feel good when you're playing Freebird, right? That's what we're saying. Iron Rod, you wouldn't know what to say. Well, then keep typing on YouTube then, because you know what? I appreciate you that you're in here in the chat. Kirk, I appreciate that you're here all the time. Phil, I appreciate you for the comment. I want you to come back and elaborate, though. I want you to elaborate. I hope my breakdown of what you said made sense. I was trying to make it make sense, but it is different times, man. And yeah, Sean McCann. Same Sean that messaged me, tweeted at me the other day, sent me the message in my inbox. That's right. That's the same Sean. Big shout out. He asked you this year's Tamani Kamara. He's a fan of Chris Murray. Man, Chris Murray gets so much props. So much props. Like the amount of work he's put in, like it's exciting when you see a young guy like that this much better than he was last year, right? Still got some things to improve on, but when you see the work paying off and now he's a legit rotation player right now, it is pretty awesome. So I appreciate you, Sean. Everyone else, you guys been awesome. Zach from Phoenix, who lives in Seattle, we're best friends now. It's pretty much confirmed. You're awesome too. Guys, we'll be back at it on Monday, 6:30 tip, I do believe. Let me check this schedule just to make sure. Those poor Pelicans. It is an 8:30 tip in New Orleans. Yuck. 6:30 tip right here on Rip City Radio, which means we'll have the game day with Chris Burkhardt at 4:30. Chad will have the pregame show on the Blazers Audio Network at 5:30. Travis Demers will have the call at 6:30. And the fifth quarter will be here after the game once again. Everyone, you guys have been awesome. We'll talk to you Monday. We did it. Good work. Oh, no. Is that what? Oh, man. Is that why Freebird played out a little bit? Heck no. Hey, that's why